So myself and Ellen have done a cross-sectional observation study in the quality of life in people with interstitial lung disease. Our background is, so people with interstitial lung disease experience a diverse range of symptoms, including dyspnea, which is shortness of breath, cough, and fatigue. Both symptoms and disease burden can adversely affect physical function and psychological well-being in people with chronic respiratory diseases. Categorised as high risk to COVID-19, coupled with sustained periods of cocooning and isolating, may further impact health-related quality of life in this cohort. So what is interstitial lung disease? Interstitial lung disease is an umbrella term used for a large group of diseases that cause scarring of the lungs. This scarring causes stiffness in the lungs, which makes it difficult to breathe and get oxygen to the bloodstream. Lung damage from interstitial lung disease is often irreversible and it can get worse over time. So for our methods for this study, so in the cross-sectional survey study, we examined the quality of life in a group of people with interstitial lung diseases using a baseline data from a UL telehealth program. So this is the program that me and Ellen are actually currently on at the moment. So it's a 12-week online program. So it's supervised exercise and education delivered by us to people with interstitial lung diseases. So at the beginning of the programme, we got self-reported physical and mental functioning were collected through telehealth from the patients using the SF12 questionnaire, a valid measure of health-related, which is a valid measure of health-related quality of life. So the data was extracted and we put it into an Excel file and analysed using descriptive statistics. So this is actually just a map of where we've gathered people from like all over the country. So we just pinpointed on where in the country people are located that are taking part in our program. So we've got like a wide range of patients from all over the country and Northern Ireland as well. So the results that we collected, so out of 21 participants, 14 were female and the mean age was 67, nearly 68, with 9.15 years, plus or minus 9.15 years. And our mean MRCD was 1.67 plus or minus 0.73. So these were the people that enrolled in the program, so 7 males and 14 females. So out of these patients, there's 72% that aren't on any oxygen therapy at all, whereas 14 are on ambulatory oxygen and 14% are on long-term oxygen therapy. So out of this, only 6 patients are using oxygen therapy out of our 21. So as this program we're running is a pulmonary rehab rehabilitation program. Before 33% of our patients had never received pulmonary rehab before, even though they all have interstitial lung diseases, whereas 67% have. So the SF12 is what we use to measure the long-term or the quality of life in these patients. So out of the SF12, we get a physical score and a mental score. So 50 is the average score according to like American statistics of the physical and the mental. So as you can see, our physical score of these patients was way below 50. So they're below average, whereas the mental score is still below 50. It's not too far below, but it's still, their mental score is still below. With the mental score, 13 patients were above average. So it was the other few that were brought the average down. And whereas with the physical score, it was only 2 that were below the average score of 50. So this indicates lower physical and mental functioning compared to the average scores among the general population. So in conclusion, disease burden and the COVID-19 pandemic have impacted the health-related quality of life in people living with interstitial lung diseases, with levels of physical functioning particularly are affected. This may be due to extended periods of cocooning in this group or signal disease progression during this time. Post-programme assessment of the SF12 will evaluate the effectiveness of our 12-week online programme of exercise and education at improving health-related quality of life in this cohort. So we're going to conduct the same assessment that we conducted at the beginning of the programme at the end of the programme to see if there has been any difference. But as we've known so far from our pulmonary rehabilitation classes, there has been differences in some patients, whereas some patients there hasn't been due to the pandemic. So thank you everyone for listening, and we'll welcome any questions at this